Hey guys, Shay from Fool on a Journey. I'm on a roll filming a bunch of the tarot tags that I am behind on. And this one actually is a little bit older now. I'm saying it's a little bit older. It's like a couple of weeks old. But there are so many tags going around, and I do want to get to as many of them as I can. But this one just took a lot of time to sort of sit and think about, because it's super personal. So I am filming my hashtag path to tarot and kind of how I got sort of on my spiritual path that I am on now. One of the reasons this video is super personal is because of where I am physically located in the world. I stated before in my Tipsy Tarot video, if you watch that, I live in Alabama. And if the answer to, what church do you go to, isn't something that the person who asked you is familiar with, the response that you get is very strange in Alabama. I am blessed to say that I am not surrounded by people that I feel like would judge me. I don't think I would be judged. I know my family wouldn't. Mostly because I think most of my family at this point, would just kind of be like, well, whatever she's doing now. They kind of expect the eccentric, path from me. They expect me not to be walking, the beaten path. So I don't feel like I would in any way be judged. However, you feel a little bit, I don't want to use the word oppressed, that's a bit dramatic, but you do, it creates a feeling of maybe you should hide it. I wouldn't say I'm in the tarot closet. I mean, people know that I read tarot. I talk to people about tarot. As I've been getting into astrology, I'm getting super obsessive about asking people, oh, what's your sign? When were you born? I want to know, and just sort of see. But sort of moving away from Christianity, and in my personal case, Catholicism, I really am moving out on my own. There is just not a lot here. I'm actually really excited. A metaphysical shop just opened 50 minutes away from where I live, and that is super close, and there's never been anything remotely like that anywhere near me. I'm about probably 3.5 hours, I guess, away from New Orleans, and that was kind of the closest place I could go to be around anything remotely, new agey or metaphysical, if I wanted to go touch things before I bought them, which is actually why I have no crystals. Zero. I have no crystals. I do not have a crystal collection because I just cannot fathom purchasing those without touching them first, and it's too far away. So maybe I will get to this new metaphysical shop that has opened, and maybe that will finally happen. Okay, so moving away from Catholicism is kind of a big deal. From somebody who has a family that, all my dad's family, all my mom's family, everybody grew up Catholic. My mom's family they have sort of branched out, and it's really become more about finding the church where you're comfortable. Some of my dad's family is now Episcopal. Some of my mom's family goes to non-denominational churches. My sister now goes to a non-denominational church, because they've realized that what's more important than following a certain doctrine is being somewhere where you're comfortable and you're getting something out of it, getting something back. So here's my path. I have my rosary over here. I started in Catholicism, and I loved Catholicism. When I was practicing, and really going to church on Sundays, and really being sort of aware of all of the, holy days of obligation and all the different things that were going on in the church, when I was truly involved, I really love Catholicism. There's nothing wrong with it as a practice. When I was practicing Catholicism, I loved being in it. I loved the practice. I loved the ritual. I loved the prayers. To this day, when I am truly just completely overwhelmed and need some comfort, I will go to a Sunday Mass, because they will say the same prayers. They'll sing most of the same songs. If I go to, a certain church, I'll know most of the songs. And it's just comforting. All the world outside will change, and you will be in Sunday Mass saying the same prayers and singing the same songs and standing at the same time and kneeling at the same time. And that, to me, that ritual is beautiful and so comforting. And I really associate it with peace and with family. And there, in that respect, there was nothing wrong with Catholicism for me. However, you get older, you learn some things, you start digging in to things, and as I dug into Catholicism, I didn't like it. I didn't like the things that, to be Catholic, you're supposed to proclaim. I felt like I couldn't. I felt like the Catholic truth was not my truth. And so I kind of just quit practicing, which was not really the way to go. The answer to this isn't working completely for me should not necessarily have been completely to stop. I feel like I probably should have found the next way to go before I just gave it up completely. But I was young, like 17, I think. 16, 17, somewhere in there. 16, I think, because I had just started working, and that was sort of the beginning of the end of church for me. And then there were years and years and years where there was nothing. And then there was this, the Indy Spiritualist. I'm not going to go through and do like a review of the book. If somebody would like a review of the book, feel free to ask me about it, and I'll go through, and maybe I'll start doing some spiritual book reviews, and some tarot book reviews later. But I just want to say that the most important thing that I got from this, when I realized that there was a spiritual hole in my life that needed to be filled, and I just needed a way to explore spiritualism and spirituality without a structure. This book was exactly that, and in a very subtle, comforting way, it was life-changing. Not in any kind of big, my life actually kind of changed way, but perspective. This completely flipped my perspective upside down. He talks about what makes you feel good. He talks about experiencing nirvana at a Van Halen concert. Everybody was there, feeling the same emotion, listening to the same music, being completely into the song, and that was a church moment for him. He felt like he was in church. He was experiencing, higher community, higher connection, at a Van Halen concert. He talks about what makes you feel good when you are meditating. If Catholic prayers are what help get you to that clean slated mind, meditative, moment, why would you stop saying them? Who cares that you're not a practicing Catholic? And it was almost like I needed somebody to give me that permission to pick and choose what I liked, to create my own path, to do whatever I wanted to do. I needed somebody to kind of say, because I came from that Catholic background where everything was so tradition steeped and everybody did the same thing, I needed somebody to tell me, you can do whatever you want because your spirituality is for you. And he really did that for me, and that was phenomenal. And if you're looking for sort of a view about doing whatever you want, this guy does it. It's a very down-to-earth read. One of the chapters is called, hold on, I know I just said I wasn't gonna do a full review, but where's the name of the one chapter that I am obsessed with? One of the names, the name of one of these chapters is Jesus, Hitler, Bieber, Slayer, and God. And that pretty much sums it all up. He covers all that. And it was amazing. And I needed him to sort of be the one, or I needed a voice to say, do what you want to do. So then I started digging around. And this happened. This was really life-changing. At this point, I'm buying copies for people. I keep telling people over and over, oh my God, you have to read this. Oh my God, you have to read this. Because what this book does is explain to you in a just incredible way, because it's just a conversation. This is not like a literary book. This is a transcript of a conversation with Bill Moyers and Joseph Campbell. So it's this really relaxed conversation. He uses excellent, his examples and what he talks about and how he connects all the world religions is beautiful and phenomenal, and I am obsessed. But he really tells you on a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Scientifically, he gives you the definition of religion. This is what religion is. And if whatever religion you are practicing right now doesn't do this for you, then you are either doing it wrong or you are in the wrong religion. This is what you need for yourself, for your spirit, to be able to live your highest life. I think he calls it pursue your bliss, or to find your bliss, or I can't remember, but it's sort of like his little tagline about, being happy with yourself. And there's a whole nother book about it, actually, which I'm probably going to read. And I did not immediately then read all of his books, because I'm really nervous. I'm not going to love his books as much as I love this, because this is really just a conversation. So I don't know if his writing style is going to be as amazing for me as this was. So I'm a little nervous, because right now I think he's incredible, and he, changed my life. But his guidelines for this is what religion's supposed to do for you, I didn't have that in my life. It was not there. And I just needed it. I needed something to fill that hole that I had lost, with Catholicism. And that is how we get here. And there's a reason I pulled out this particular deck. This is the Tabula Mindy Tarot. Tarot was something that I would occasionally pull out for a little bit of insight, because I'm super antisocial and didn't have enough people that I could randomly ask. Those random, what do we think about this? That kind of question where you've got like your BFF that you call and ask. I'm super antisocial. My best friend is my husband. For a little while, he was my only friend, but I don't mean that like in a dramatic, sad way, just like I would work so much and pretty much ignore everyone else. And we lived together, so I couldn't ignore him. But it was like when I needed that quick check-in, and like you would call your BFF and say, hey, I'm feeling this, what do you think? It's like I didn't have that person, and so I would kind of use tarot for that. And that was really all that it was. And when I started looking into what I was missing in my religion, and I realized that tarot had the potential to give me that. The decks that I had at the time, I didn't feel like were there. I know plenty of people use the Rider-Waite-Smith as sort of a deeper spiritual practice, and I absolutely respect that. That is your prerogative. But I needed something more. I needed something that I felt like came from a different angle. I needed something that came from something deeper. I needed something that was, every single line on every single card in this deck is there with intention. And that was what I needed to sort of create that spiritual focus initially. Now I can use pretty much any deck, and it's really just the attitude that you approach it with. But to kind of get going, I really wanted a deck that really had truly the Fool's Journey. And I started approaching the Fool's Journey as truly a path from the Fool walking through the wormhole to the Fool emerging into the universe as its highest self, and really seeing them as steps and initiation in a way to living a better life. I sort of rambled hilariously in my Tipsy Tarot video about how I wanted to learn to live a better life. And when I think about church, you know, in the sense that, you know, I was Catholic and I went to Catholic church, that's what church is about. You're in this very dark, quiet place with people that you trust, where you meditate on things that you've been doing wrong and things that you want to do better. Part of that meditation is singing. Part of it is standing and kneeling. Part of it is, you know, Catholic prayers are just a mantra. I mean, that's all it is. You know, it's like, it almost seems, you know, wrong to say that, but that's all it is. And then you listen to a story read from a book that is a lesson that you're supposed to think about to help you live better for the next week. I mean, that's church. Tarot can do that too. I can sit down and I can meditate quietly in my own home about the past week. What have I done right? What have I done wrong? What do I need to not do? What do I need to do more of? And I can pull a card that will tell me a story that I can then focus on for the next week. In order to do that and to get a lot out of it, I needed a deck like this. I needed a deck that was so intentional and so, you know, completely... I needed something this busy and this... I don't even know really what the word I'm looking for here is. But I just needed it to be steeped in symbolism and mythology because I needed there to be some study involved. I needed to have to look into what does this mean. What do pomegranates mean? Okay, now I know pomegranates are about the story of Persephone and, you know, leaving the underworld. I know that these are the symbols for the sun. These are the moon. I know, I see the moon. I see the moon on her crown. I see the Star of David. She's dipping her toe in the water. I know what water symbolizes. You know, these are, I needed it to be something that I could study like that. And once I had sort of found a way to study tarot in that way, in a way that could, you know, affect me like that, that became the path. That became the answer to what I was missing. And that is sort of the obnoxiously long story of my path to tarot. When I really started making it a study, I started the Instagram page, which is just Fool on a Journey. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do. I'd love for you to. And now, you know, my studies are branching out. I'm getting into astrology. I have not started learning the Hebrew alphabet yet, but I did just get the book that Elle from Sacred Seed recommended, the magical alphabets. So it is on the list of things to do. And I almost made it all the way through, so now I guess I just have to finish. And that is the very long story of my path to tarot. Thanks for watching.